Sly! Come in! Sly! Do you read me?
Yeah, I read you. Loud and very loud.
Sorry, I'm a little nervous. Trying to break into police headquarters does that.
Get over it, Bentley. You're safe in the van. I'm the thief here. I've got to steal that file from Inspector Carmelita Fox.
Well, count on me to be your eyes and ears, buddy. Got their security system totally scoped. To get inside.
Growing up, I didn't have a PS2. My parents were strict about what I could or couldn't play, so for most of my childhood, I played Spyro the Dragon and Crash Bandicoot, unaware of what I was missing out on. By the time I got a PS2 in 2008, kids had moved on to the Xbox 360. Ironically, the original Crash Bandicoot and Spyro titles helped solidify the PS1 as a most-known system. When Sony lost the rights to both franchises, they needed new properties for their forthcoming PS2. Taking the place of Crash and Spyro were Jak and Daxter, Ratchet & Clank, and Sly Cooper. Sly Cooper was developed by Sucker Punch. Before Ghost of Tsushima and Infamous, Sucker Punch was a fledgling studio who had previously made Rocket, Robot on Wheels, for the Nintendo 64. Their next game, Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus, was a hit. It received great reviews, sold well, and the titular character won an award for Best New Character from the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences. High praise indeed. Now that I'm an adult with disposable income, I can track down all the games I missed out on as a kid. With no prior experience with the franchise, the question I wondered was if the original Sly Cooper was worth playing all these years later.
Once again, my gang and I had given Inspector Carmelita Fox the slip. I was surprised to see how well she took it. Finally, the secret police file I'd been searching for all these years. With this, I could avenge my family and regain possession of our most valued treasure.
Sly Cooper is a master thief who travels the world performing high-stakes robberies with the help of his friends Bentley and Murray. Sly hails from a family of thieves whose lineage goes all the way back to ancient Egypt. Each thief developed their own techniques for stealing, techniques which were then collected into a book called the Thievius Raccoonus. Every generation, a member of the Cooper clan inherits the book, and Sly's next. Unfortunately, Sly's parents were murdered by a gang of criminals called the Fearsome Five. They took the book, split the pages up, and fled to parts unknown. With no parents to raise him, Sly grew up in an orphanage, which is where he met Bentley and Murray. Determined to right wrongs, the now adult Sly travels the world looking for the Fearsome Five and the missing pages. Hot on Sly's trail is Carmelita Fox, a police chief looking to arrest Sly for his crimes.
Which reminds me, you need to return the Firestone of India to its rightful owners.
And I was gonna give it to you as a little token of my... Hey, you know, that bazooka really brings out the color of your eyes. Very fetching.
Sly Cooper's story and characters are incredibly appealing. The game evokes the feeling of watching a Saturday morning cartoon, what with its lighthearted tone, cel-shaded graphics, and sense of adventure. There's an episodic feeling to the game, hammered home by the introduction each villain receives before the start of a new chapter.
It had been a while since I'd been back in the U.S. Next up, the notorious mugshot. Ruthless muscle of the fiendish five. What he lacked in brains, he definitely made up for in brawn.
It's shades of Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego and Lupin III, only you play as a raccoon whose best friends are a turtle and a hippo. Sly is like a modern-day Robin Hood. He steals from criminals and not the innocent because there's nothing respectful about stealing from those who don't deserve it. As the last of the Cooper family, Sly is determined to redeem the family name by finding the book and defeating his parents' murderers. Helping Sly is Bentley and Murray. If Sly is the thief, then Bentley is the brains and Murray is the muscle. The writing and performances do a great job highlighting the camaraderie between the three. There's a lot of banter in each level, particularly with Sly and Bentley. Bentley constantly doubts Sly's chances of success. By the end of the level, Sly proves him otherwise. Ditto for when you find a safe, and Bentley comments on how challenging it was to figure out the safe's combination.
I can't believe I pieced this one together. Try 227.
On the other hand, Murray feels underutilized. I think it's because there's not much to him other than he's fat, and his penchant for eating usually lands him in danger. He's a bit too childish, in my opinion, and I wish he had more to do. Carmelita Fox is Sly Cooper's rival. Much like Koichi Zenigata from Lupin III, she pursues Sly around the world, determined to arrest him. Just when she thinks she has Sly cornered, he escapes. The game teases a budding relationship. Minor spoilers ahead, but when Carmelita is captured by the big bad, Sly detours from his mission to save her, a decision that nearly gets him killed. Carmelita thanks Sly by giving him a 10-second head start to escape after he's taken care of the main villain.
Now see, a girl whose best friend's a firearm's got issues. A little dinner, a little dancing. I think I can help you out.
Sounds romantic, as long as you don't mind dining in jail.
Nah, I hear the service is lousy.
Speaking of which, the villains. The Fearsome Five are a memorable bunch. Each one has their own reason for choosing a life of crime, with the common thread being they were outcast, shunned by society. The Fearsome Five includes Sir Raleigh, a frog who sinks ships to steal their wealth; Mugshot, a bulldog who runs a criminal empire and has taken over Mesa City; the Panda King, a panda bear who uses his fireworks to terrorize villages in China; and Clockwork, head of the Fearsome Five and one with ties to Sly's ancestry. Sly Cooper is a mixture of platforming, stealth, and a few other elements. Levels are broken off by hubs. These hubs contain locked off areas that must be unlocked by finding keys hidden in each stage. Once you find all 7 keys, you can face off against that area's boss. Sly's movement is loose but nimble. Initially, he can run, jump, shimmy across ledges, and use his cane to knock out bad guys and break objects. By obtaining missing pages of the Thievius Raccoonus, you unlock new abilities and moves. What sets Sly Cooper apart from other platformers is its stealth. You'll stick to the shadows to avoid searchlights, lasers, and patrolling enemies. If you're spotted, alarms go off, and any security lasers become lethal. Likewise, enemies will keep a lookout for Sly before resuming patrol. The stealth is basic but fun. It's not Metal Gear Solid or Splinter Cell levels of intricacy, but the forgiving nature of the stealth does a great job at teaching younger players the importance of sneaking. Sly is armed with his cane. He can use it to knock out enemies and swing on hooks. As the game progresses, he unlocks abilities like being able to jump across the tips of streetlights, grind on rails, and turn invisible. Scattered across each stage are bottles with a clue. Breaking all of them grants you access to the safe hidden in the level, which in turn unlocks a new ability. Said abilities include a dodge roll, a leap attack, the ability to plant mines, or put out a decoy to trick enemies. On paper, they sound cool and give the player an incentive to go after the clues. However, in execution, they leave a lot to be desired.
Oh, Sly, I see your mouth moving, but all I hear is blah, blah, blah.
I rarely use the powers because the game didn't encourage me to. It's a lot easier to hit enemies with the cane than to try luring them into a mine. The best ones are the dodge roll and the leap attack because they are helpful and don't feel like a gimmick. Had the enemies provide you a reason to try out your new abilities, then these powers would have had greater significance. In addition to finding clues, there are coins to collect, as well as lives and horseshoes. Horseshoes let Sly take an extra hit. If he has no horseshoes, Sly will die from one hit. Sly has lives. Lose them all, and you start the level over. Many levels are about stealth and platforming, and the level design is excellent. Some stages are straightforward, others loop around back to the start, and a few see Sly running away from Carmelita Fox or a giant creature. In between those stages are minigames. The minigames include twin-stick shooter sections, racing, or having to collect any number of items under a time limit. These segments are the game's weakest point, in my opinion. There's nothing wrong with variety in a platformer. When done right, it can be a great way to mix things up. A great example is the vehicle and animal riding sections in the Crash Bandicoot trilogy. Those parts not only provide diversity, but are fun to play. The minigames in Sly Cooper lack creativity and feel tacked on. I enjoyed the shooter sections, but I disliked the racing. The vehicle handling is too sloppy, and there's some noticeable rubber banding going on. The worst ones are the collectathons, particularly one where Sly needs to collect 50 chickens in 2 minutes. This doesn't sound tough, but after you collect 10 of them, a pair of roosters armed with bombs start chasing Sly around, and this keeps on going until you collect all the chickens. Although these minigames make up a small portion of the game, their lack of quality sticks out. Equally disappointing are the boss fights. While each fight is distinct, Their patterns are easy to memorize. I enjoyed the fight with Miss Ruby since it plays like a musical version of Simon Says, but what I didn't enjoy was the final fight against Clockwork.
Because I wanted to show the world that without your precious book, the Cooper line was nothing.
Ah, well, there's where you're wrong. The Thievius Raccoonus doesn't create great thieves. It takes great thieves to create the Thievius Raccoonus.
Enough, Sly Cooper. It ends here. I will finish you like I finished your father. And the Cooper line will be erased, and the only master thief will be Clockwork.
A few moments later.
Clockwork kicked my ass. Up until then, the game was easy, but there's a sharp difficulty spike during the final fight. It's broken up into 3 phases, the first 2 of which involve a jetpack. The most annoying part is when you need to fly through rings that will instantly kill Sly if you miss even one. I died over, and over, and over, and right as I was about to defeat Clockwork, I died again. Frustrated, I turned the game off and was ready to make it into a new frisbee. Then I tried again the next morning and beat him in under 5 minutes. Suffice to say, a good night's sleep can make a big difference.
I'm proud to be a thief, especially when I'm stealing from a vicious extortionist like the Panda King. Open your eyes, detective. These quaint temples are a front for an illegal explosives factory.
Don't try to confuse the issue. You criminals are all the same, and none of you can escape justice.
Sly Cooper's cel-shaded look has aged fantastically. What you are seeing is the original game upscaled with composite cables and a RetroTink 5X, and it really shows how well the visuals look all these years later. I did encounter a couple of minor glitches. Whenever Sly died, sometimes he would clip through the environment, but it was never anything game-breaking. The voice acting is good and complements the excellent presentation. The music is fine, but none of the tracks stood out, save for the overworld theme and The music is fine, but none of the tracks stood out, save for the overworld theme and Miss Ruby section of the game.
Have been yapping about some big mysterious dude running around cracking skulls and this is it? You're the monkey wrench in my operation? Some scrawny rat with a stick. Hey, wait a second. I seen that stick before.
Maybe when my father knocked your block off with it.
I enjoyed Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus. The game is at its best when it's focusing on the platforming and stealth. The levels are excellently designed and provide the player many opportunities to sneak around and do plenty of platforming. I also love the world and characters of Sly Cooper, and with each new level I was eager to fight the villain of the chapter. The game is short, but it's a satisfying adventure. Unfortunately, the journey is nearly derailed by the minigames. They aren't fun and are a chore to play. Fortunately, once you beat them, you don't need to revisit them for any other purpose. I also wish the extra techniques you unlocked had more significance. The ones you unlock from beating each boss are useful, but the ones you find from opening safes feel underutilized. I'm curious to see how the sequels improve the gameplay and minigames. The consensus seems to be that the second and third game are solid follow-ups, while the fourth game, Thieves in Time, is the black sheep since it was developed by a studio other than Sucker Punch. Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus gets a 7 out of 10.